The final battle began at the edge of the galactic core, where space itself glowed with the light of 1 billion stars. Admiral Ryan Cooper stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolution, humanity's newest and most powerful ship. Around him, the largest fleet in galactic history waited for his command. But this was not the same kind of fleet the galaxy had ever seen before. Captain Jake Sullivan commanded a mixed crew of humans and rescued refugees from the outer worlds. The rabbit-like Kalari worked alongside human engineers, their quick paws perfect for emergency repairs. Former slaves of the Crystal Empire operated weapon systems next to Earth Marines. "Sir, the Hunter fleet is entering sensor range," reported Lieutenant Danny Walsh. "Over 10,000 ships, and they are all heading straight for the core worlds." Ryan nodded. The Hunters had learned from their defeat at Kepler. This time they brought everything they had. But Ryan had learned too. All ships. This is Admiral. "Cooper, you know the plan. We hit them in waves just like we practiced. Remember, we are not trying to destroy them all at once. We are buying time for the evacuation." Elena Martinez, now serving as Supreme Commander of Combined Forces, appeared on his screen from the core world of Centralis. Behind her, Ryan could see refugee ships taking off by the thousands. "Ryan, the great civilizations are demanding we protect their technology archives first," she reported. "The Chancellor says their knowledge is too valuable to lose." "What did you tell him?" "I told him that children come before computers. We evacuate people first, technology second." Ryan smiled. That was the difference between humanity and the old galactic powers. When forced to choose, humans always chose people over things. The first wave of Hunters crashed into the human defensive line like a dark tsunami. But these were not the same humans who had fought at Kepler. They had learned from every alien species they had rescued. Kalari speed, Aquan toughness, and human determination combined into something new. Commander Lisa Park led a squadron of modified fighters through a group of Hunter ships. Her pilots used Kalari reflexes to dodge alien attacks while firing human nuclear missiles at point-blank range. It was a fighting style no military academy had ever taught, but it worked. "Wave 1 complete," Lisa reported. "We got 12 of theirs for 6 of ours. Good work. Fall back and let Wave 2 through." The second wave was led by Captain Ben Garcia, a former mining engineer who now commanded a fleet of converted cargo ships. His vessels looked nothing like military ships, but they carried the largest nuclear warheads humanity had ever built. "This is for everyone who died in the outer worlds," Ben said as his ships charged into the Hunter formation. The explosions could be seen from 3 star systems away, but the Hunters kept coming. For every ship they lost, 2 more took its place. Ryan watched his forces slowly being pushed back toward the core worlds, where the great civilizations waited with their most advanced technology. Dr. Amanda Foster appeared on his screen from the UNS Discovery, humanity's science vessel. "Ryan, I have been studying the Hunter formation. They are not just attacking randomly, they are moving in a specific pattern." "What kind of pattern?" "They are surrounding the core worlds. When they have us completely encircled, they will attack. From all sides at once. We will not be able to protect everyone." Ryan understood. The Hunters were not just trying to win. They were trying to make sure they could feed on every piece of advanced technology in the galaxy's core. "How long do we have?" 6 hours, maybe less. Ryan made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. "All ships, new orders. We are not falling back anymore. We are going to punch straight through their line and take the fight directly to their command ship." "Sir, that is suicide," Danny protested. There are thousands of them between us and their leader. Then we better move, fast." What happened next became legend throughout the galaxy. 300 human ships, supported by their alien allies, charged directly into the heart of the Hunter fleet. They ignored enemy fire, ignored impossible odds, ignored every rule of military strategy. Captain Jake Sullivan rammed his ship through, a Hunter vessel twice its size. Captain Lisa Park's fighters flew so close to enemy ships that they were touching hulls when they fired their weapons. Commander Ben Garcia's cargo haulers just kept flying forward, even as alien claws tore them apart. They were not trying to win a battle. They were trying to deliver one man to one target. Ryan's ship, the Resolution, broke through the Hunter lines with its hull glowing red from enemy fire. Ahead of them, the Hunter command ship loomed like a mountain made of darkness and hunger. "Elena, are you ready?" Ryan asked over the communicator. "Ready, Ryan. All core world defenses are in position." Ryan had planned this moment carefully. While his fleet fought its way through the Hunter lines, Elena had been coordinating with every alien civilization. Not just the great powers, but everyone. Every species, every world, every person who wanted to survive. "Now!" Ryan shouted. Every defensive weapon in the galactic core fired at the same time. Not at the Hunter fleet, but at something else entirely. The combined firepower of 1,000 civilizations struck the ancient subspace transmitters that connected the core worlds to the rest of the galaxy. The transmitters exploded in bursts of light that could be seen across half the galaxy. "What have you done?" The voice of the Hunter command ship filled space with rage. "You have cut off your own worlds. They will starve without those connections." Ryan smiled as his ship flew directly at the alien monster. That was the idea. No more advanced technology broadcasting across space. No more energy signatures for you to follow. You want to feed on our technology? You will have to come and take it the hard way. The Resolution slammed into the Hunter command ship at full speed, its nuclear warheads detonating inside the creature's body. The explosion tore both ships apart, but it also did something else. It sent a message to every Hunter in the fleet. Their food source was gone. Without the constant stream of advanced technology to feed on, the Hunters began to weaken. They were still dangerous, but they were no longer growing stronger with every attack. The remaining human fleet and their alien allies pressed their advantage. Using simple weapons and brutal tactics, they slowly pushed the Hunters back. It took 3 days of continuous fighting, but eventually the last Hunter ship was destroyed or driven away. Elena stood in the rebuilt council chamber, looking out at the faces of beings from across the galaxy. But this was not the same council that had met 6 months ago. The old seats reserved for the great civilizations were gone. In their place were simple chairs for anyone who wanted to represent their people. "The age of the great powers is over," Elena announced. "From now on, every species has a voice, every world gets a vote, and if anyone faces extinction, everyone fights." The rabbit-like Kalari representative raised a paw. "What about the humans? You saved us all. Surely you deserve to lead." Elena shook her head. "We did not fight for power. We fought because it was right. The galaxy does not need rulers. It needs people who keep their promises." She looked around the room at the faces of former slaves, refugees, and survivors. "From now on, we all keep our promises to each other." The Chancellor of the old ethereal dominion, his light form now dim and flickering, spoke from the back of the room. "And what of us, the ones who failed?" "You get the same chance as everyone else," Elena replied. "Learn to keep your word. Fight for people who cannot fight for themselves. Prove that you deserve the trust of the galaxy." As the meeting ended, Elena walked to the window overlooking the rebuilt fleet yards. Human ships worked alongside alien vessels from dozens of species. Former enemies were now friends, united by the simple idea that promises should be kept. Ryan appeared beside her, his image projected from the frontier worlds where he now led the Galactic Defense Forces. "Any regrets?" he asked. Elena thought about it. "We lost thousands of good people. We nearly started a war with our own allies. We gave up our chance to rule the galaxy." "That does not sound like regrets. It is not." Elena smiled. "We kept our promise, Ryan. That is all that matters." Far away, on the frontier worlds where new colonies were being built, former refugees worked alongside humans to create something the galaxy had never seen before. Not an empire built on power, but a community built on trust. The galaxy had learned a simple lesson. Sometimes the most advanced thing you can do is keep your word. And humanity had proven that some promises are worth keeping, no matter what they cost. News of the human victory at Kepler spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the great halls of the ethereal dominion, beings made of pure energy stared at battle recordings in disbelief. The Crystal Empire's computer minds ran the data through their systems again and again, unable to accept what they were seeing. The primitive humans had done something impossible. They had made the Void Hunters retreat. Admiral Ryan Cooper sat in his damaged command center, reading message after message from alien civilizations. Every species that had fled to the galactic core was suddenly very interested in talking to humanity. "Sir, another priority transmission coming in," said Lieutenant Danny Walsh. His voice was tired. They had been receiving calls for 3 days. "Straight. Who is it this time?" Ryan asked. "The Silicon Collective. They want to offer us upgraded ship computers in exchange for tactical information." Ryan shook his head. "Tell them the same thing we told everyone else. We are not interested in making deals right now." The truth was, Ryan felt sick every time he talked to these alien leaders. For 6 months, they had watched billions of innocent people die while they ran away to safety. Now that humans had proven the hunters could be fought, suddenly everyone wanted to be allies. Elena Martinez's face appeared on the main screen. She was calling from the human embassy, which was now surrounded by alien diplomats begging for meetings. "How? Are you holding up, Ryan?" she asked. "We have lost half our fleet and thousands of good people, but the aliens want to throw us a party and give us medals." Elena's expression was grim. "I know. The Council voted to give humanity a permanent seat and full access to all galactic technology. The Chancellor himself delivered the offer." "What? Did you tell him?" "I told him we would think about it. But Ryan, you should see what is happening here. Every major civilization is offering us everything they have: technology, resources, entire fleets. All they want in return is our protection." Ryan stood up and walked to the window overlooking the space dock. Human ships were being repaired next to vessels from dozens of smaller species. The races that had stayed to fight alongside humanity were now working together to rebuild their forces. "They want us to be their shield," Ryan said. "They want to hide behind us while we do the dying." "That is what it sounds like." Before Ryan could respond, Danny called out from his station. "Sir, priority alert from our scout ships. The hunters are moving again." "Where?" "Toward the galactic core. A massive fleet, bigger than anything we have seen before. They will reach the core systems in 2 weeks." Ryan felt his blood turn cold. All the great civilizations were gathered at the galactic core with their most advanced technology. They had created exactly what the hunters wanted most, a feast of energy and power that would make the creatures unstoppable. Elena, are you getting this data? Yes. And Ryan, there is something else. The Chancellor is calling an emergency session. He wants humanity to lead the defense of the core worlds. Of course he does. 2 hours later, Ryan found himself standing in the Grand Council chamber via hologram. The same room where Elena had made humanity's promise 6 months ago was now filled with terrified alien leaders begging for help. The Chancellor's light form looked dimmer than ever. Admiral Cooper, the Council has voted unanimously. We request that humanity take command of all galactic defense forces. All of them? Ryan asked. The same forces you pulled back when the Outer Worlds were dying? Admiral, please understand. We made mistakes. We were not prepared for this threat. But now we know your methods work. Ryan looked around the chamber. Every alien face showed the same expression. Fear mixed with desperate hope. They finally understood that their advanced weapons and superior technology meant nothing against the hunters. You want humanity to save you, Ryan said. The same way you should have saved the 15 worlds that are now gone. The same way you should have protected the billions of people who died while you ran away. The red, six-armed alien leader spoke up. Those were tactical decisions based on available data. Surely you understand that sacrifices had to be made. No, Ryan said firmly. We really do not understand that at all. The chamber went quiet. Ryan could feel the weight of the moment. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had technology that seemed like magic and wisdom that came from ages of experience. But when the crisis came, they had failed in the most basic way possible. They had broken their promises. 6 months ago, Ambassador Martinez made a commitment to this council, Ryan continued. She said humanity would stand with anyone facing extinction. We meant those words. We have kept that promise even when it cost us everything. The Chancellor leaned forward. And we are grateful, Admiral. More grateful than you can know. Please, lead our forces. Save our worlds. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Around him, his own officers waited to hear what he would say. These were people who had followed him into an impossible battle because it was the right thing to do. We will fight the hunters, Ryan said finally. Not because you asked us to, not because you offered us technology or power. We will fight because there are still innocent people who need protection. Relief spread across the alien faces. But Ryan continued. Things are going to change. No more acceptable losses. No more writing off entire populations because it is convenient. No more running away when the fighting gets hard. What do you mean? The Chancellor asked. I mean that if humanity is going to protect this galaxy, we are going to do it our way. No more politics. No more committees. When people need help, we help them. When evil needs to be fought, we fight it. Period. The chamber erupted in worried chatter. The alien leaders were not used to being given ultimatums by anyone, especially not by a species they had considered primitive just days ago. Ryan activated a star map showing the galaxy. The hunters are 2 weeks away from the core systems. Every major civilization is gathered there with all their most advanced technology. When the hunters arrive, it will be like setting off a dinner bell. Then what do you suggest? The Chancellor asked. Ryan smiled grimly. We are going to do something that apparently none of you ever considered. We are going to take the fight to them. The aliens stared at him in shock. Attack the hunters? Nobody attacked the hunters. You ran from them, or you died. Admiral, that is suicide, the Chancellor said. Maybe. But it is better than cowering in your core worlds while they grow stronger. We are going to hit them before they reach your precious technology stores. We are going to use every simple, primitive, brutal tactic we can think of. Ryan looked directly at the Chancellor. And we are going to do it with every species that is willing to fight, not just the ones with seats on this council. As the meeting ended, Ryan felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders. Humanity was about to become responsible for protecting an entire galaxy, not because they had sought power, but because they were the only ones willing to keep. Their promises when keeping them was hard. The real war was about to begin. Admiral Ryan Cooper stood in the command center of the human space station orbiting Kepler Prime. Around him, screens showed the positions of 300 human ships. It was every military vessel Earth had ever built, all gathered in one place for the first time. "Sir, long-range sensors are picking up the Hunter fleet," reported Lieutenant Danny Walsh from his station. "They will be here in 6 hours." Ryan nodded. He had expected this. The Void Hunters were moving through space like a hungry animal eating every planet in their path. Kepler Prime was next on their list. "How many ships?" Ryan asked. "Over 1,000, sir. Maybe more. They are hard to count because they keep changing shape. 300 human ships against over 1,000 alien monsters." Ryan had faced bad odds before, but never anything like this. Every military expert in the galaxy said it was impossible. The humans would be destroyed in minutes, but Ryan knew something the experts did not know. Dr. Amanda Foster walked up to him carrying a data pad. She had been working without sleep for days, studying everything they knew about the Void Hunters. "I have finished my analysis," she said. "I think I know why no one has been able to stop them." "Tell me." Amanda pointed to one of the screens showing a recording of a previous battle. "Watch how they attack. They always go for the biggest energy sources first, the most advanced weapons, the most powerful shields." Ryan watched the recording. Both hunters ignored small ships and weak weapons, heading straight for the enemy's strongest vessels. "They feed on advanced technology," Amanda continued. "The more complex something is, the more they want it. That is why all the great civilizations failed. They threw their best weapons at the hunters and just made them stronger." "So what do we do?" Amanda smiled. "We give them something they have never seen before. Technology so simple that they will not know what to do with it." Ryan looked around the command center. Human technology was indeed simple compared to the aliens. No energy weapons that could punch through dimensions. No shields that bent reality. Just metal ships with chemical rockets and nuclear warheads. "Will it work?" Ryan asked. "Only one way to find out, sir." Ryan walked to the communication station. "Open a channel to all ships." The faces of 300 human captains appeared on screens around the room. Men and women from every country on Earth, united by a simple promise their planet had made. "In 1 hour, we will face an enemy that has destroyed civilizations older than our entire species," Ryan began. "They have weapons we cannot understand, and powers that seem like magic. Every military computer in the galaxy says we cannot win." He paused, looking at the determined faces staring back at him. "But those computers never met humans before. They never saw what we do when someone threatens. Innocent people. They never learned that sometimes the oldest ways work better than the newest ones." Ryan activated a tactical display showing their battle plan. "We will not fight like the aliens do. No long-range energy duels, no complex strategies. We are going to get close and hit them with everything we have. Nuclear missiles, kinetic rounds, good old-fashioned explosives." We are going to remind the universe that sometimes simple is better. Captain Jake Sullivan, now commanding a small group of ships, spoke up from his screen. What about the civilians, sir? There are still millions of people on the planets behind us. That is why we are here, Jake. We made a promise to protect people who cannot protect themselves. Today, we keep that promise. The Hunter fleet appeared on the edge of the Kepler system like a dark cloud. Ryan watched through the station's telescopes as the alien ships moved toward them. They looked like living things made of black metal and purple energy. Some were the size of cities. Others stretched out like giant snakes in space. All ships. This is Admiral Cooper, Ryan said into his communicator. Remember the plan. Get in close, hit them hard. Do not try to be heroes. We do this together or not at all. The first wave of hunters rushed toward the human fleet. Ryan expected them to fire their reality-warping weapons from long range, like they had done with the alien civilizations. Instead, the hunters flew right past most of the human ships. They seemed confused. The human vessels barely registered on their feeding sensors. The technology was too primitive to interest them. Now, Ryan shouted. The human ships opened fire at point-blank range. Nuclear missiles slammed into hunter vessels that had no defense against simple explosive force. Kinetic rounds, just big pieces of metal moving really fast, punched through alien hulls that could deflect energy weapons. Captain Lisa Park, commanding. The destroyer UNS Courage flew her ship directly into a hunter vessel's energy shield. The shield was designed to stop advanced weapons, not a metal ship traveling at high speed. The Courage crashed through the barrier and detonated its nuclear warheads inside the hunter ship. The explosion lit up space like a new star. All across the battlefield, human ships were doing the impossible. They were destroying void hunters, using weapons that were thousands of years out of date. But the victory came at a terrible cost. For every hunter ship destroyed, humanity lost 2 or 3 vessels. Ryan watched good people die as their ships were torn apart by alien claws and dark energy. "Sir, the station's weapons are ready," reported Danny Walsh. Ryan looked at the massive nuclear arsenal built into Kepler Station. It was designed to destroy asteroids, but today it would serve a different purpose. Target the largest hunter ship and fire everything. Hundreds of nuclear warheads launched from the station, creating a stream of fire that stretched across space. The lead hunter vessel, a creature the size of a moon, tried to use its reality-warping powers to stop the attack. But nuclear explosions were not advanced technology. They were just atoms being torn apart, releasing pure force. The hunter's powers meant nothing against that kind of basic physics. The explosions tore the giant ship into pieces. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Void Hunters retreated. Ryan stood in the wreckage of his command center, breathing heavily. Half his fleet was gone. Thousands of good people were dead. But they had won. "Sir, we are getting a transmission from the Hunter fleet," Danny reported from his damaged station. "Put it on speaker." A voice filled the room, speaking in perfect English. It sounded like wind blowing through empty space. "Humans, we do not understand. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are simple. How did you hurt us?" Ryan smiled grimly. "Because sometimes the old ways are the best ways. We will return with more ships, stronger creatures. You cannot stop us forever." "Maybe not," Ryan admitted, "but we can try. And we will keep trying until every innocent person in this galaxy is safe." The transmission ended. Around him, his surviving crew cheered. They had done something impossible. They had made the unstoppable Void Hunters run away, but Ryan knew this was just the beginning. The Hunters would be back, and next time, they would be ready for human tactics. The real test was still to come. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of his ship, the UNS Defiance. Through the big window in front of him, he could see hundreds of small ships flying away from a dying planet. Smoke and fire covered the world below them. The Void Hunters had found another place to destroy. "How many people did we save?" Jake asked his crew. Lisa Park, his second in command, looked at her screen. "About 50,000. But there were 2 million people on that planet when we got here." Jake felt sick. They had tried their best, but it was not enough. It was never enough. The Void Hunters had been attacking for 6 months now. They moved like a dark wave across the galaxy, eating everything in their path. 15 worlds were already gone. Billions of people had died. At first, the big alien civilizations had tried to fight. They sent their best ships and their strongest weapons. But nothing worked. The Void Hunters just got stronger every time they ate a planet. Then, the Great Retreat began. Jake watched his screens as messages came in from across the galaxy. The Ethereal Dominion, the most powerful civilization in known space, announced they were pulling back to their core worlds. The Crystal Empire said they needed to protect their most important planets. The Silicon Mines uploaded themselves into mobile computers and fled toward the center of the galaxy. One by one, every advanced species made the same choice. They abandoned the outer worlds to save themselves. "Sir, we are getting another message from the Council," Lisa said. Jake nodded. "Put it on screen." The image of Chancellor appeared in front of them. His light form looked dimmer than before, like he was tired. "Captain Sullivan, the Council has voted. All remaining forces are ordered to withdraw to the inner systems immediately. The outer rim is lost." Jake looked at the refugee ships around them. Families who had lost everything. Children who would never see their home worlds again. Old people who might not survive the long journey to safety. "What about the people still out here?" Jake asked. "Acceptable losses," the Chancellor replied, without emotion. "We must preserve what we can." The words hit Jake like a punch. Acceptable losses. 2 billion people were just acceptable losses to these aliens. "And if we refuse the order?" Jake asked. The Chancellor's form flickered with surprise. "Refuse? Captain, your species has 47 ships in this sector. The Hunters have destroyed entire fleets of thousands. You cannot possibly make a difference." "Maybe not," Jake said. "But we gave our word." "Your word?" The Chancellor sounded confused. 6 months ago, Ambassador Martinez promised that humanity would stand with anyone facing extinction. That promise was not just for the big civilizations, it was for everyone. The Chancellor was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again, and his voice was softer. "Captain, I understand your feelings, but feelings will not stop the Hunters. Be reasonable." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting to see what he would do. These were good people. They had families back on Earth. They deserved to go home safely, but they also knew what it meant to keep a promise. "Lisa, open a channel to all human ships in." "The fleet," Jake said. "Channel open, sir." Jake took a deep breath. "This is Captain Sullivan to all human vessels. You have heard the Council's order to retreat. You also heard our ambassador's promise 6 months ago. I will not order anyone to stay. This is not our war, and these are not our people. Anyone who wants to return to Earth has my permission and my respect." He paused, looking out at the refugee ships again. "But I am staying. The Defiance will remain here to help evacuate as many people as we can. We will buy time for those who cannot fight for themselves. Any ship that wants to join. Me is welcome." The communication channel was quiet for a long moment. Then Lisa smiled. "Sir, I am getting responses from the fleet." "And?" "All 47 ships are staying, sir. Every single one." Jake felt pride fill his chest. This was why humanity deserved to be in space. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they knew what was right. The Chancellor was still on the screen, watching them with something that might have been amazement. "You will all die," he said finally. "Maybe," Jake admitted, "but we will die keeping our promise. Can your people say the same?" The Chancellor did not answer. His image disappeared from the screen. Over the next few days, Jake watched as the great civilizations of the galaxy ran away. Ships that could destroy stars fled like scared animals. Beings who had ruled space for thousands of years abandoned their own colonies without a second thought. But not everyone ran. Jake started getting messages from smaller species, ones that the big civilizations barely noticed. The rabbit-like Kalari sent their tiny defense fleet to help. The ocean-dwelling Aquans offered their underwater cities as refugee centers. Species that had no seats on the council and no voice in galactic politics decided to stand and fight. Why? "Are they helping us?" Lisa asked as more small ships joined their growing fleet. Jake thought about it. "Because we are all the same," he said finally. "We are all the ones the big powers decided were not worth saving." Dr. Amanda Foster, the fleet's science officer, had been studying the Void Hunters for weeks. She came to Jake with a report that made his blood run cold. "They are heading for the galactic core," she said. "All the major civilizations are gathering there with their best technology and their most powerful weapons. So they can make a stand?" Amanda shook her head. "So they can feed the hunters everything they need to become unstoppable. The hunters eat energy and technology. The more advanced something is, the more they want it." Jake understood. "The great civilizations are not running to safety. They are creating the biggest target in the galaxy. And when the hunters finish eating all that advanced technology, nothing in the universe will be able to stop them." Jake looked out at his small fleet of human ships and their alien friends. Old technology, simple weapons, ships that barely qualified as military vessels. For the first time since the retreat began, Jake smiled. Then maybe it is time to show these hunters what primitive really means. Elena Martinez walked into the big round room where all the alien leaders met. The room was huge, with seats going up like stairs in a circle. Each seat was made for different kinds of aliens. Some were tall and thin like trees. Others looked like they were made of light. A few looked almost like humans, but with strange colors. Elena was the only human in the room. She wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's flag on her shoulder. The aliens around her wore fancy clothes that seemed to glow or change colors. They spoke in voices that sounded like music or wind or sometimes like machines. She had been Earth's voice in this place for 3 years now. When humans first found out about other planets with smart life, everyone was excited. Then they learned that Earth was like a baby compared to these other worlds. Some aliens had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. They had weapons that could destroy planets and ships that could move faster than light. The meeting started like it. Always did. The big alien in the center stood up. His name was hard to say, so Elena just called him Chancellor in her mind. He looked like he was made of white light that moved like water. His voice sounded like bells ringing. "Today we face a great danger," the Chancellor said. "The Void Hunters have returned." The room went quiet. Elena had heard this name before in whispers. The Void Hunters were something from old stories. They were supposed to be gone forever. "What are Void Hunters?" Elena asked. Red alien with 6 arms turned to look at her. "They are death itself, human. They eat entire star systems. They turn planets into nothing. We fought them 1,000 years ago and barely won." The Chancellor nodded. "They sleep in the dark spaces between galaxies, but something has woken them up. Our outer worlds are already under attack." Elena watched as pictures appeared in the air above them. She saw planets that looked normal, then the same planets covered in black stuff that moved like it was alive. Then she saw the planets just disappear, leaving empty space. "Behind. 3 worlds are already gone," the Chancellor continued. "The people living there had no time to escape. The hunters ate everything in just a few hours." The aliens around the room started talking at once. Their voices mixed together in a sound like a storm. Elena heard fear in their voices, even though they tried to hide it. "We need to work together," the Chancellor said, raising his hands for quiet. "Each world must give what they can to fight this enemy." One by one, the alien leaders stood up to make promises. The tall, tree-like aliens said they would give old weapons they did not use anymore. The ones made of light offered to share some defense plans. The red 6-armed aliens promised to take in refugees from the attacked worlds. Elena listened to all of them. Every promise sounded careful. They offered things they could spare, but nothing important. Nothing that would really hurt them if they lost it. When it was her turn to speak, Elena stood up slowly. The room became quiet. She could feel all the alien eyes looking at her. Some looked curious, others looked like they thought humans were. "Just cute pets that could talk. Earth is young compared to your worlds," Elena began. Her voice was small in the big room, but it carried clearly. "We do not have weapons that can destroy planets. We do not have ships as fast as yours. We do not have technology that seems like magic." Some of the aliens nodded, as if they agreed, that humans were not very important. "But we do have something," Elena continued. "We have our word, and today Earth gives its word to this council and to every person in this galaxy." She took a deep breath and spoke louder. "If your people face extinction, if death comes for your worlds and your families, humanity will stand with you. We will not run. We will not hide. We will fight beside you until the end, no matter what it costs us." The room was very quiet now. Elena could hear her own heart beating. "That is our promise to you," she finished. "We may not have much to give, but what we have is yours." The Chancellor looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded politely. "Thank you, Ambassador Martinez. Your words are noted." Elena sat down. Around her, the aliens went back to their careful planning. They talked about moving their important things to safe places. They discussed which worlds they could afford to lose. They made plans that assumed some people would die so others could live. As the meeting went on, Elena realized something that made her stomach feel cold. These great civilizations, with all their power and wisdom, were already planning to lose. They were deciding who they would save and who they would let die. None of them asked about Elena's promise again. To them, it was just nice words from a weak species that could not really help anyway. But Elena remembered every word she had said. So did the people back on Earth who were watching the meeting. Humanity had made a promise to the galaxy. It did. Not matter if the aliens forgot about it. Humans never forgot their promises. As the meeting ended and the aliens left to prepare their careful plans, Elena stayed in her seat. She looked up at the dome above the room, where fake stars twinkled like the real ones outside. "We meant every word," she whispered to the empty room. Far away, in the dark spaces between stars, something ancient and hungry began to move toward the light.